Hello and welcome to this very, very special edition of Off the Cuff, one to cherish. Because our guest today is none else than His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the man blessed with so much wisdom that he can bless the entire humanity with it. But even more than that, for people like me who don't have much intellect, Your Holiness, a man blessed with a smile that can light up the most dark of places. So we are so privileged to have you with us, Your Holiness.
Thank you.
Welcome to OTC. So Holiness, let me start with a simpleton's question. You came to India 68 years ago.
No,
58 years ago. 58 years ago. 58 years ago. My math was always poor. 58 years ago. In 58 years, we have seen in India and elsewhere, most institutions, people, minds with stature decline. It's a very messy world. It's a very messy country, India. It's very
messy.
Messy, troublesome. Troubled. It's also very troubled where you came from. How do you keep your sanity, and how do you make sure that your stature spiritually, intellectually, morally has grown and not declined? You are now the rock star of spirituality and moral authority in the world.
I think basically I'm a student of Nalanda tradition, so we emphasize more our intelligence rather than faith. So therefore, I think everybody, if we utilize our sort of ability of the intelligence, then firstly, any problem, you see, look at that problem not closely, from distance. And also, any problem, not something independent or absolute, due to many other factors. So keep in your mind open and try to see the different sort of elements or becomes the causes of that problem. Then your sort of frustration automatically reduce. So look, I think even this is very, very sort of the sad, tragic thing. If you look from a wider perspective, that tragic thing might create some positive things. So keeping in our mind all these sort of option or possibility, then the anxiety or unbearable feeling, then much reduced.
So look for the big picture.
That's right.
Not one minor, not one narrow focus point.
And then, like Tibetan problem. Yes, it's very serious, very sad. But looking from the global level, one of the problem, and some cases even worse. So that usually makes differences, your emotional feeling.
So, Holiness, look at the state of the world today. Even if you look at the big picture, the entire world seems to be in turmoil. Democracy is stepping back. Dictatorial tendencies are rising all over the world. So, in today's world, even the big picture may not give us much comfort. How do you deal with that? If you look at America, Russia, China, India, Turkey, Israel, just around the world?
My fundamental sort of view, world belongs to humanity. And each nation actually belongs to the people, not a few individual leaders or like that. So, I believe people, I have faith, human being, if our basic nature was or was more alive, I believe human nature is more compassionate and sensible. So I believe, you see, people. Then leader, come, go, come and go. People always remain.
So, Your Holiness, in this situation, the leader of the world's most powerful country, and I ask you this also as an honored guest of India, and in a way, the brand ambassador for refugees all over the world. When the leader of the most powerful country in the world starts banning entry for refugees, how do you deal with it?
That's quite a complicated sort of event. I think many people already expressed their view. So not necessarily to say my view. Pick up.
No, your advice, not view.
I think you are referring the American president.
Yes, sir.
So I thought during election, you see, use maximum way about the freedom of expression. So then once you see take responsibility, then logically be more realistic. That's my sort of feeling. But last few days, you see the new president's sort of the action, more and more people now, they have sort of different view, or including some criticisms. So my own sort of position is wait and see.
And what is your advice to President Trump? I know you will meet him soon, but when you meet him, what will your advice be on this? Will you tell him to be, that he is in a hurry?
That I don't know. I usually, you see, without any note, without any preparation, you see, public talk or meeting some individual, I just, you see, meet and judge the atmosphere. Then accordingly, I talk. Nothing prepared. So, when you see President, Trump, isn't it?
Trump, yes.
You see, have opportunity meeting, then I will judge the atmosphere and his sort of famous sort of hair, like that. Then you see his like that or something like that. So then we'll judge the atmosphere and then accordingly I express my view. So I have nothing, say, something you see, already you see, if when I sort of have the opportunity meeting him, and I must say this, I must say that. No, nothing. That's what I usually do. I never take note.
That I know.
Oh, very frank, open, sincere. That's important.
I mean, you also remembered the conversation we had 10 years back in Dharamshala.
Right.
And asked me for the state of my head.
More shining.
More shining than before, yes.
So that's because of shining.
Not necessarily from wisdom.
From wisdom.
Not
getting older, more wisdom.
more wisdom. So, Holiness, wisdom. Even the discourses you've been holding last few days have been about discovering old Indian wisdom. and you call India your guru, and now Buddhists, now Tibetans have become India's gurus. So how do you get wisdom from Indian tradition while keeping it secular?
That's the important matter. As you mentioned, when I first came as a refugee, of 56 I came, Buddha Jainist liberation. This firstly short, and secondly, a lot of more or less official functions. So the knowledge, depth, not much. And then, after 59, came to India as a refugee, and Pandit Nehru, immense helpful. And Rajendra Prasad, wonderful. And the Raheja also, like that. So then, I think, then mid-70s, my first visit to Europe, and seeing those nations much industrialized and highly sort of developed, material sort of thing. And their life, materialistic life, way of life. So when we met individual, a few moments, you see, we greeting some nice things. Then when we become known each other more closer, then a lot of complaint, too much stress, too much worry. Then meantime, I also you see, start serious discussion with scientists. So then gradually, you see, many scientists, you see, really showing interest about you see, our knowledge about our human emotions and how to tackle emotion. In these fields, many scientists really showing genuine interest. Mainly, you see, 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, especially quantum physics, then psychology. In these 4 fields, after 30 years of serious discussion with scientists, it became clear to us from their knowledge about cosmology and the neurobiology, these things. The physics, quantum physics, the essence we already know, because ancient Indian sort of philosophy, particularly Nagarjuna's philosophy, or Arya Asanga Busubandhu's sort of philosophy, that is mind-only sort of school of thought. And the Madhyamika philosophy, particularly Nagarjuna's, nothing independently exists. So these, so we found, you see, the quantum physics, they say this external thing does not exist objectively. So this, we already know these things. Then the psychology. Many scientists now really find useful information from our knowledge, from our discussions. Then I realized all our knowledge come from India. That's the reason I usually call Indian traditionally our guru. So therefore, I felt, oh, India's ancient knowledge, these things, not only ancient one, but also very relevant to today's world. So therefore, the Indian tradition, firstly, fuller knowledge about human emotions, human mind. Then with fuller knowledge about emotion, then there are also, you see, different method to deal with these emotions. So then I felt, oh, ancient Indian sort of knowledge is something could be very, very useful on this planet. So therefore, now look, India, traditionally you are so much sort of knowledge, these things. But modern Indian, neglected.
Neglected.
So modern Indian, I think, rushing to build materialistic society. So that, I think, one sort of the result is too much thinking about money. So a lot of corruptions. So people very much complain about that. But then the complaint not sufficient. We must go deeper level. What's the causes? So the moral ethics, self-discipline, honest, truthful. You see, these, if we emphasize these principles, then these telling lie, cheating, corruption, bully, these automatically reduce. Just the criticism, not sufficient. So therefore, I felt, oh, India's ancient knowledge is something very useful.
Now, since you talked about how some people misinterpret religions and do not understand harmony and that everybody has a right to follow what they do, how do you, first of all, do you think that there is Islamophobia in today's world? And if so, why is it so and what can be done? The fear of Islam.
No, Islam, one of the important world religion. I think today, the number of follower of Catholic or Christian around, I think, 1 billion. According to some people say that. Then Muslim, the follower of the Muhammad and so follower of Quran, around 1 billion. And I found many Muslim very sensible. So in any way, my point is, then eventually, I think a few hundred, I think around 1,000 Muslim population there. No story of quarrel by these Muslims. Very peaceful.
So why is there...
So that's one example. People or Muslims who sincerely sort of practice, seriously practice, there's the same effect like Buddha's teaching. One my sort of friend, one Muslim, he told me, genuine Muslim must extend love towards entire creature of Allah. So we Buddhists say entire sentient being. So entire sort of world created by Allah. Similarly, Christian, entire sort of world created by God. So I think the very purpose, the thinking, all created by infinite love, God. I think aiming people should be more compassionate, more sensible human beings. But then, among the Buddhists also, there are some mischievous people there. So on media, some mischievous things come, then become the headlines.
Holiness, you are also blaming the media.
No. No, media have great sort of important role. Media is, I think, one important factor to educate people.
Venu?
Your Holiness, Shekhar referred to this. Would you say...
Venu is a diplomat, but in Delhi, no diplomatic immunity.
Is there God or there is no God? Simple question.
That's according Jainism, Buddhism, and Sankhyaism. No God, no creator. God such as creator. But we can call Buddha as a God, okay. And Mahavira as a God, okay. But God and such creator, these three, no concept of creator, rather self-creation. The rest of the world religion, all, you see, different sort of, or say the concept or different way, but essentially all accept creator. I think many Indian sort of tradition, ultimately there is creator, but at the same time, life after life. So, rule of karma also there.
Would the Western concept of science and the Indian concept of spirituality merge at any point?
That I don't know. I think, according to your sort of explanation, it seems, yes, spirituality, not something strict to faith, but rather, I think, training of mind, then okay. Like Jainism and Buddhism, you see, we emphasize the training of mind. Now, we have both constructive emotion, destructive emotion. And through awareness, constructive emotion is good. So, we have to sort of increase that. The negative, try to reduce. Not through prayer, not through single-pointed meditation, but rather vipassana, analyze. So that's scientific way. So therefore, now last over 30 years, you see, we firstly, out of my own curiosity, I start discuss with modern scientists. At that time, some old Tibetan scholars, a little bit sort of cautious. And then gradually, it became very clear. It is mutual benefit. So scientists and we Buddhists also. So then we start this kind of science lesson. We introduce in our bigger monastic institution, mainly in South India. Now they also, you see, now created the science class. So people, many monk students now study science. So therefore, you see, some scholar from the West, some say Buddhism is not a religion, but a science of mind. This is quite true. So therefore, I think Indian understanding spirituality is vast, training of mind. Religion, a little bit sort of based on faith.
Hi, I'm a journalist at the Financial Times, and I wanted to know if you think India's religious tolerance and secularism has improved under the current government, and why or why not?
India means over 1 billion Indian population. So overall, I think these sort of tradition, 1,000 years old, so will continue. Some individual may have some different views, and as a result may express a little bit different here and there. But overall, India, as I mentioned earlier, India belongs to Indian people, not a few politicians or leaders.
We'll take a question here, but Your Holiness, since you explained over and over again that in Jainism and Buddhism there is no concept of physical God, How do you respond when people call you a living God?
That's wrong. Sometimes I sort of telling people, people consider me the reincarnation of our Lukiteshwara. Then sometimes I'm telling, oh, if I'm true reincarnation of our Lukiteshwara, then gallbladder problem should not happen. So, because of the gallbladder, you know, then the final sort of refuge, by the way, final refuge is hospital. and Dr. Kasa, Dr.
Chobe.
Chobe.
Chobe, yes.
He removed to say my
gallbladder, yes. Like that of half of Delhi's.
So one occasion, of course, Dr. Chobe is we become very, very close friend. So one occasion, I teased him, I want to replant or something.
Replant his gallbladder.
So he said, easily can do. So like that. So therefore, I think at the same time, I can say the previous life sort of, certain sort of, what's the merit, that I feel there.
Previous birth.
Oh.
Yes.
My name is Tanveer Batra, and my question to you is that you have been a refugee, and nowadays if you see there's so many kids who are refugees who've been made to fled their houses and their homes, and they've been raised in hate and turmoil. So how would you preach compassion to them?
Firstly, these refugees who really find difficulties, not only difficulties but great risk in their own land. So there is no other choice except escape. So they should give, they should provide, European nations should provide shelter and facility. Meantime, keep in their mind, eventually they should return their own original place. So while they remain in Europe as a refugee, provide education facility to their children, and the younger people provide some training. Eventually, when the time comes, they return in their own home. They already equipped to rebuild their own country. So that right from the beginning, I have that view. So I publicly expressed.
So is that your advice to President Trump also, who's blocking their entry into America?
Trump, I think, as I mentioned earlier, we have to wait. One day he says something, next day say something, and also a lot of sort of criticism within the American sort of
American Congress?
Congress or the leadership, or
leadership, yes.
More sort of elite people, right?
Elites.
Like that. So I don't know. But you see, the attitude towards Muslim, I think 6 or 7 countries, these, although his motivation, I think maybe sincere, to protect America, less threat. But such sort of movement or such policy, I think creates more hatred among the Muslims.
I think that deserves an applause.
That is the seed of more problem.
Your Holiness, it's a pleasure to be here and honor. My name is Akhil Nath. You just said you're not God and you advise the whole world. You're going to meet President Trump, advise everyone. My question is, what do you do when you have a problem? Do you always find a solution yourself, or do you look for people around you to advise you? Or does it just come to you? Since you're not God, what is the solution to your problem, if you have one?
For example,
can I add a question? Okay, you answer it, then I will ask.
for example, 1959, when things become very critical, I asked opinion not only officials but also sweeper. I asked, sometimes the sweepers more frank, more honest, officials sometimes. So I always ask different opinion from different people. Then also one sort of mysterious things. I also ask state oracle. That's mysterious things. Then I myself, you see, think, investigation. Then till final decision happen, my mind always is a lot of sort of anxiety like that. Then finally decide, then no anxiety, whether sort of, I say, no matter what kind of problem, now we decide that way. So 17th March 1959, that day around noon we finalize. Now we going to leave Lhasa or Nobulinga. So then no matter what difficulties, we decide. Even some risk of my own life, we decided.
Do you get angry sometimes?
Oh,
and
yes.
how often do you get angry?
And when I was young, quite often.
Quite often.
I usually is telling people, my mother almost never show anger. My father, quite short temper. So, my early part of my life, I follow my father's way. The later part of my life, I follow my mother.
So when was the last time you got angry?
I can't remember. little irritation that happened, but real anger is something.
So if you're
desire to hit or something, almost.
If you're irritated with me, don't tell them. But when was the last time you were irritated?
I can't remember. Occasionally come.
Occasionally.
I think you should ask my sort of secretaries. Occasionally I express my irritation.
His Holiness, my name is Sudhanshu Mittal. There is an increase of tensions, I would say, be it across the globe, be it the clash of civilizations, be it various kind of conflicts which we are witnessing. And I personally feel it does threaten international peace. What is it that you would think could be a very good mechanism for conflict resolution?
I think India can be important role, because India, I think all major religious traditions live together. Occasionally some problem here and there, but basically, as I mentioned earlier, I think really, the example of rest of the world, all major religious traditions can live together. And in some cases, mutual respect, mutual learning. So, since many years, I suggesting to Government of India, I think India should organize international religious conference. Then leaders of various different religious traditions, I think once the Indian government extend the invitation, I think most of these, including the Muslim leader, I think will come. Then not only leaders, I think leaders come and the open ceremony or something, some nice word. Then the secondary level of religious or leader come, spend few days and serious discussion. And then finally, you see, Government of India should arrange should sort of arrange some kind of pilgrimage 1956, Government of India is arranged the pilgrims to many Buddhist sites and special train arranged and go there. Like that, I think special arrangement, so that sort of delegation and should have pilgrimage to Muslims, sort of the holy places, and then the Buddhist places, Hindu places, and Christian.
Xi Jinping recently in Davos, he made a pitch for global leadership for China. He spoke against protectionism, he spoke for free trade, he lectured the whole world. So obviously he announced that China is now making a claim for global leadership. Do you think he and China are ready? And what else do they need to do to be ready?
That's difficult to say, really difficult. Of course, the people go to China as most populated nation and ancient nation, and generally speaking, cultured people. But their system is totalitarian, too much censorship. I usually is expressing the 1.3 billion of Chinese people have every right to know the reality. Once they know the reality, they also have the ability to judge. Therefore, censorship is immoral.
So first censorship has to go.
Censorship, I think, should stop.
Should stop.
And let them know. Now, you see, a lot of Chinese tourists, and also, you see, many Chinese leaders' children study in America or some other country. So they already know what's the reality, what's the world. So it's the Chinese official sort of say, information, official information.
Information.
See, many of these people doesn't believe it. So it's no use. In previous, unlike 60s and before that, then there's no other sources get information. Now today, a lot of sort of information. Chinese people, wonderful people. So ultimately, China belongs to Chinese people, not one party, not one individual.
So as long as they don't bring these freedoms, they don't have the moral authority for global leadership.
Eventually, I think China have the potential. But then, these, I think leadership, you see, come, I mean, it's kind of become leadership step by step, not just click.
Right. I think that's a very good note to conclude this round of Off the Cuff on. Thank you very much. I know that all of us wanted more time with him. We were blessed that we got this much time, and thank you very much.